And I'm live. That is pretty cool. Today is 9th of February 2026, Monday. And with that, let's begin. Today, the goal would be, goal would be to make some gameplay mechanism so that, just make some gameplay mechanism on the backend side. And arigato. So, what needs to happen? And also, we have to think about what is going to happen, like before building the thing. So we have the backend, and there are two players. So how would player one and there is player two. So how would they go about playing? Let's say this player comes to the backend and hits some API number one. Let's say it's some API, and backend creates a room or adds this person into a list. Backend will have a list into a list of all the people who are waiting for a certain game to go on. And then this person comes there, and this person also hits the same API and also is added in the same list, and the backend makes a pair. So, yep, these two people are now going to play each other. And from then, there is going to be another mechanism when backend knows that this person and this person are playing a game with each other, then there is going to be another thing. So, first of all, we have to make this list mechanism thing so that a person can tell the backend that there is a game that needs to be played. And so let's work on that, like however that looks, and also what is going to be the schema of this list. We are going to have three lists for the three types of game that we support. Yep, and in each row, but do we want to make this on the back end? Do we want to make this thing on the query? Can we not get a Redis? Because Redis, yes, because we do not need to remember this. We just need to know this at the moment. Yep, we just need to know this at the moment. So there are two options. Either we put this thing on the backend, which is going to be slow, or we can just remember this thing. We can have a global variable which stores all the games. And what would be the downsides? Downsides would be that if the backend goes down, you just have to click on play again. So shit. We will not create this list on the backend. We will have this list in memory. Okay, list of all the players which are playing the game. Okay, and since this is going to be in memory, we can make it a JavaScript object. Okay, cool. Great. That is pretty cool. Backend database. Yep, database. And also shit, there was a PR on this. Yep. Um, yeah, one pull request. Bro made a pull request, improved logging and handling of errors. Logging database. What? File changes. Bro changed 4 files. Okay. Welcome to. Okay. How do we read this? Added 9 lines and removed 1 line. Imported Zod here. This was already here, and removed catch E and added any error, and if e.message is database table dne error, then return error dot true and message error 500, user could not be created, something went wrong on server, please try again later. That is some error thing, and this is in Axis. This is one of the APIs. This is one of the APIs. Okay, and why do we have set here from Zod? Where is this being used? This is not being used anywhere, so that is not needed here. Okay, and wait, if there was not, what was here before? If not this, okay, here, if this error, this specific error is there, then there is going to be this error message. Otherwise, the normal error message dot e message is the error. Okay, and in the databases dot ts, try again. Select one as health check, connection checking. This database connected successfully. Otherwise, failed to connect to database. Okay, and process dot exit. Otherwise, okay, and then here this is also the same file, database.ts. In case of error, throw error at the end, but if the error is of this type, then throw this error. If the error is of this type, then throw this error. To do create a new error types. Okay, what is happening? And here just some new code init db console.log, creating a database. Since didn't exist before, it does exist, which, yep, and get the string. This is for initial creating a database console.log listening. Yeah, this line is, yeah, this line would be needed. This line would be needed. Wait, we can do app.server.postname and app.server.port. Okay, that is cool. That is cool. I would like to add this line, and I mean that that is good, but I want to do this on my own. And hello, like if you are watching, okay, I would like copy this line specifically, or wait, I can add a message. This one is cool, and keep it. Start a review. This one is cool and keep it, and all the other else, uh, yeah, all the all of the rest can be removed. Mm, yep, and all the me. Like, it's cool, mm, but like it's cool, but seems over engineered, or like, yeah, it's cool, but uh, I don't really like it. So why is it cool if I don't like it? Like, it is cool for you. Okay, submit review, and then merge request add later on. Okay, we need a in-memory list of all the games which are being played. So we need a interface for that interface, and we need three databases. Interface of game list, game list interface. Yep. And what are the things? User ID, which is going to be a string, not user data, which would also contain the password, but okay. User ID, and that is literally it. I think we don't need anything else in the game list. Yep, we just need the user ID, and we will handle the rest later on. Okay, and we will put this thing in the data. game list, take the game list, and shit, now since I'm going to make more commits, it will be fine. We need a variable that belongs to the class, a global variable. Static list rapid games list is game list, which is initially empty, and rapid blitz, rapid blitz, and bullet list of games, and we need to add now methods to update that. Static, just for getting, and there are also decorators, I think, for getting and for setting values. Decorate, I don't know if they are in JavaScript. Documentation, we can go to the documentation. Okay, this comes from ts.config, descriptor.get, original getter, original setter. Descriptor.get is a function which takes any a list of arguments of any type, and console.log getting property string. If this is not equal to, apply this modifier, this static get rapid games get no, we don't need to get rapid games. We need a function to add a user and then to get a user. We need a function to add a user and to get a user. Or why would we like to add a user if the list is already empty? Okay, okay. Is rapid game is going to be a function which will tell whether is rapid game is yes, is rapid game is going to be a function which will tell whether there are ongoing rapid games or not. Okay, is rapid games return at this dot length equals is not equal to 0. Is bullet game and is blitz game. And I think it is not very good to add all of this in the same file. Maybe we should make a separation. Yes. How to define shit which uses inheritance? No. How to define some methods in a how to define methods in a class in JS and JS in different files. How do we like separate methods? User class, this is file number 1. Define external methods, export function this, and export this. Import the function, import from this new user console.log. And how do we add this method? Method to dot prototype dot display name equal to display name. Add those things physically, manually. Okay, we gotta add these things manually to the prototype. Prototype is a set of things which belong to the class instead of belonging to an instance of the class. Okay, if that is what we are going to do, or maybe we can also use inheritance. Let's see. In this, let's need to have quite a few static methods. I want to split the definition into multiple files. Uh, I can, I have two options. Either define those methods in multiple files and then manually import all of them and add them to the class prototype, or I can make multiple classes and in a main file import those classes and have that new have a new class which has all the methods belonging to those other classes belonging to those other classes. Let's see if this is possible. Shit. Uh, Staircase. Shit. Okay, why is this long? Finally, generating, splitting the static methods across multiple files in JS. Option 1, plain functions plus manual assignment. Yes, and why is this not syntax highlighted? Yep. In one file, define some functions, in other file define other functions, and then import all of them, and then native class methods, and then object dot assign to this class these methods, and object dot assign to this class these methods. For static methods, assign them to the class, and for instance method, assign them to the prototype. Okay, oh okay, I got that, like upside down. Mixing classes, multiple inheritance, like class A with some functions, class B with some other functions. Import those classes, copy static methods from mixins recommended mixing function pattern. For mixin, this class is defined, get own property and some operation for each. What is the recommended thing? We have a class which extends the base class. B class also extends the base class. Import those things, and my class extends class A, B class. Okay, this seems to be cleaner. Here we have this my class, and what is the base class? Extends base. Base is just some predefined class, I think. Option 1, option 2, option 3. Boilerplate heavy works naturally. Okay, the first one is like the worst. Second option is kind of fine. Full access with this. Third is good. IDE, autocomplete, and everything. We get everything. That is good. My recommendation. Bro has some recommendation. Okay, let's use third method then. Database.ts, memory.ts, and data.ts. Database.ts has data. Base is used but now declared. Okay, and copy this, go to memory, base, memory.ts, log types, database, keep database there. And for a moment, remove everything else. Just keep these two things there. Yep. Remove all of this stuff that is not needed here. Shit, paste. Okay, and remove all the stuff that is not needed here. Game list. This is not database. This is memory. Extend base. Cannot find base. That is a valid thing to say. And data.ts will have a class base empty class. Declaration or a statement expected. Export base and yeah. Go down and remove all of this database extends base. Okay, and this also extends base. Okay, and okay, so we have two classes which extend the base class, and then we can import both of them in the main file and then make the final class. Extends first class, second class, and class. Okay, in the main file, which is data.txt, class called data extends memory database class this Class data extends this, and okay, this should have worked. Okay, shade. This is not a class. This is a function that takes a base and extends that base class. So this thing takes this class, and what is returned is extended by this class, which extends this class. Okay. Const database is, it takes something and then return this implicitly at as type any class. Can we say that class is a type? No, we cannot. And that is the only problem, like that base is not defined. No, we didn't. We are not initializing anything. Okay, and for memory, we have to do the same. Const memory equals this also taken base and then returns a class, just return class extensive. And here also remove the name and return this class, return here also this class, and here data. Export data. How do we give type to this base thing? How do I give type to this base class that is being taken in by the function that returns the new class? How do we do that? And hello, yesterday I was reading docs. What's today? Today is writing not documentation, writing some gameplay mechanism, typing mixing in class type constructor. Today, player one comes, and yes, there is going to be a list of all the players who want to play a rapid game. And whenever a new player wants to play a rapid game, they will hit some API on the backend, and backend is going to have this list in memory. It is not going to be on the database because that is slow. So this list is going to be in memory. And first, backend will check if there is another player in that list, and if there is not, then they will be added to the list. And when another player comes, we will have two players in the list, and we will make them play each other. That looks good enough. And yes, there are going to be like race conditions and everything. We will have to do this like with mutex thing, so that multiple people mm, are not accessing this thing at the same time. Yep, multiple people are not accessing this thing at the same time. And also I have to see, since JavaScript is single threaded, how are multiple connections going to be handled? Yes, because yesterday when we were doing that server side stream thing, while keeping a connection, we were able to connect two clients to the same backend at the same time. While the backend was engaged with the first client, the second one was getting a response. So like how that happened, that is crazy, and this thing looks like a peach. Type constructor t some thing. Type of this thing is t base, and what is basic usage? with instance methods. Moves checking should be done on no. Moves checking would yes also be done on the client side and also on the backend side. Like yep, on the backend side. No, not because of earphones, but your audio is really low. Wait, hello. How is my audio low? Like it is like pretty. Oh shit, maybe me. Okay, okay, okay. It might be okay. This is like pretty high with external. Ah shit. And how is it now? Is it? Yes, it is. It is. Shit. Okay. Okay. My audio was low. My bad. My bad. Audio was low. Look, my fans, noises are more than your audio. This is not properly audible without earphones. Okay, shit, my audio was low. If it is high now, okay, thank you. Now it is perfect. Shit. Because I was only looking at OBS and now, shit, okay. Hello, Zodiac. So we have here a function that takes in a class, extends that class, and adds all these things which we will be needing. But here, since this is TypeScript, we have to give in the type of this base thing. Property, literally any, that is messed up. Mm, Class, bro, this is class. T-base extends constructor. Base is T-base. This is generic, genetic, generic. Type constructor. Constructor is a type that takes in T equals to an object new initialize takes. I will have to read upon TypeScript. And then here we have to say const export const equals t-base extends constructor and type of base is t-base. Extend constructor and type of base is t base, and now we are happy somehow. Const. Okay, and we have to do the same thing there, there. Extend constructor and type of this is t-base. Hey, that is cool, and hopefully nothing has broken. Let's add some more functions. Static is blitz. So yes, return true or false. If there is a game, then return true, otherwise return false. And what else is required? To add game. Add rapid game. This just takes in user ID. This is going to be a string, and this dot rapid game list dot add push. User ID is going to be a string. Are you game list? Okay, and yep, shit. Game list. Game list is an object which has only a single thing, that is user ID. So if you want to add this, we have to make this an object, but we could just remove the game list part. Yeah, this is just our overhead. So we will not have this interface called game list. Substitute colon game list this this with sh- this okay. Substitute this with string list. Okay, cool. And we can just add user ID. That is cool. Add rapid game and bullet game and blitz game. Okay, we can add games. That is cool. And we need to remove game. Static. Shit. Okay, now we have to get into how the backend is able to talk to two clients at the same time. Because when we are going to remove something from the list, we need to tell that other part of the backend which added that player in the list in the first place that hello, I am here, you can play a game with me, something like that. You motivated me to write something using backend. Now I am working on something in like I myself am not motivated, I am forcing myself. What is the TV is used for? How have you thought to design it? Escalator workable. Yep, it is workable. And design what? This thing? Like, look at this Venn diagram or this diagram. It looks obvious what I am explaining here, right? And so player one comes, player one tells the backend, I want to play a game, and there is a list which is in memory of all the players who want to play that specific game, like Rapid or Bullets or Blitz, RBB. And if there is a player already which is not checked by the client, it is checked by the backend. If there is some player already in the list, then they will play the game together, this player and the one who made the request. And if there is no other player in the list, then the backend will add this player's user ID in the list, and when some other player comes in, they will start playing the game together. And now we have to see how do we tell this first player that look at this other player has also come here to play a game. Yep, for which, and that t-base thing is just some TypeScript specific thing for types, how to like tell what the type of a class is. And okay, so we need to know how these Elysia.js, because yes, why not Elysia.js? And there was this set thing yesterday, essentials, plugins. Shit, it is not here. Server, server time plugin, server handler, server one only, server sent events. The server will tell. No, our query is not that. It is kind of like that. Server side events. Server sent events. Events which are sent to the client by the server. Yep. With using yield. Okay, so the question is, the question would be, I am using Vue.js for making a backend. I am server sent events. Is server sent event a good thing or a socket a good thing for the continuous communication between the client and the server. Yes, and there has to be a communication between the client and the server, and the server should be able to send things to the client on its own. Elysia, yes, provides a thing called server sent events, and there is also the option of WebSocket, which is faster. And what are the pros and cons? What are the pros and cons? Let's see. Thing is being generated. Server set events. Quick overview comparison. Okay, WebSockets do not give we cannot do manual implementation. Built-in, assume faster. Binary plus text. This is text only. Highly latency in WebSocket is lower. 6 per domain. Shit. Okay, that is a limitation. And in WebSockets, there is no limitation. Okay, shit. So we will be able have to use WebSockets because there is no hard limitation. Yep, shit. Server sent events. Server one way goes to the client. And for WebSocket, full duplex. Okay, yes, that makes sense. That makes sense because the client also needs to send stuff back to the server. WebSockets seem cool. Nah, we won't be using server-side events now. We will be using WebSockets implementation. Import Elysia. They provide a built-in WS socket. Okay. WebSocket. Open WS console.log client connected. WS dot send hello world to the client and message WS message handle the message. This is a function, okay, called message. Okay, client can also send to the server console.log received message from this WS. WebSocket echo close connection. On the client side, open, this is, yep, slash WS dot on open. And this thing, posting, can this also make WebSockets? Shit, maybe it can. Nah, they are just requests. Okay. So we will be using WebSockets for this. We will be using WebSockets for this. So when a client wants to play a game, their player one wants to play a game, and they will send a WebSocket request. Okay, so they will be able to communicate with each other. That is cool. That is cool. And shit, instead of just client ID, we will store in that list the WebSocket and the client ID, and we will call another function with both the client IDs and WebSockets of the two players who want to play that game, and that function will handle everything. Makes sense. Okay. So we have to change this thing. Interfaces and this thing, WebSocket type, what is going to be, I think it is just a simple string, or before that, we should just like check how WebSockets work. Index.js, we have quite a few things in this. Dot WS, WS, yep, at slash WS. Okay, this does not take in a function. What does it take in? Maybe we can read this in the official documentation. WebSockets cheat sheet. WebSockets, okay. WS slash ping, receive a message. This is just receiving a message. We have to pass in an object which has these things. And well, is this like legit all about WebSockets and nothing else? WebSockets, everything about WebSockets. WebSockets configuration. No, not configuration. WebSockets. Okay. Is a real-time protocol for communication between client and server, unlike HTTP, where our client repeatedly asks the website for information and waits for a reply each time. WebSockets set up a direct line where our client and server can send messages back and forth directly, making the conversation quicker and smoother without having to start over with each message. Socket IO is a popular library for WebSocket, but it is not the only one. Elijah uses U WebSocket, which Bun uses under the hood you with the same API. Elijah.ws WebSocket message validation. WS tell that the body is going to be of this type and query message dot data dot query ws dot send to this thing. Okay, we have to define message which handles incoming message. For this socket, query header response WebSocket schema can validate the following things, and we tell it what the body is going to be like, what the query is going to be like. Query is going to have a single ID in their example. Send ID message date now. Configuration not needed. Methods WS message, this is just for sending. When we receive, how do we just send the message? Open callback function for new socket connection. Callback function takes in WS, which has ID and data context. Message close drain. Okay, we need to define message and open. Takes in WS and console.log new connection established. New connection established. WS dot ID and WS dot data. That's it. Yep, that is it for open if there is a new connection, and message. When there is a message, and also send back, ws dot send. This takes in the data. Data is your connection is established. Start sending messages. Smiley face. And then console.log, new message received. Console.log message and the US dot send. Tell the client that your message, which was received. Shit. Tilde. Backtick is required. My keyboard cannot type backtick somehow. And this thing message. Okay, so now this will be listening for WebSocket connection. Add socket. Tmux LS. Tmux. 79 into 76. Shit. 80. 5,600 plus 480. 6,080. 6,004. And shit. Okay, that is correct. Cool. And change the name of this to new and create another. That one is easy, 93. Okay. And run here. Run this. It is running and Postman for the connection. Let's see. How do we make WebSocket connection? New Socket.io WebSocket. Socket.io WebSocket. URL localhost not 3000 4444 socket message hello there first message connected and yep, your connection is established. Start sending messages. Cool. And on the server we also got whole lot of things printed, so that is cool. And let's send more message. Second, yep, we sent this and then we received your connection is established and start sending messages. New message received second, but we got here your connection is established. Start sending messages. Why did we get the same thing as before? Your message was received. This should be the thing. Okay, shit, it comes at the top. Okay, my bad. And if we send this again, second, your message second was received. And that is pretty cool. I'll run this first. Clear messages. Connect. Connection established. Start sending messages. Second, your message second was received and cool. Okay, we are able to create a connection, and here the connection is disconnected because the server is off. Okay, we can create a connection. That is cool. That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Message dot id. Let's stop printing the data. We just need id. id. Yes, we just need id, I think. No, we do not. We need the whole ws thing. What is the type of this thing? This is the type of this thing, I think. An object which has three things: ID, validator, and these are other things. And data. Okay, shit, this whole thing is the type. So if I write here, type of this is this, then that is messed up. Okay. How do we create a new server? How to server in Tmux? How to create a new server in Tmux? Server session. How to create a new session? Tmux new session s name. New session s or n s. And the session name would be back end. Okay, we are in the back end session. And what is 85 into 25? That would be to one 1700 plus 400, 1700 plus 425, 2125. Okay, cool. Project Shah backend ls start, and the name of this thing should be new him. Okay. New one, and what is 60 3600 plus 240 3840, I think. Correct. Programming project SHA source, or yeah, just SHA. Good enough. Okay. So we need to create a server, or before that, we have to update this interface, user ID, and a socket, WS. Socket from when? Is this going to be socket? Okay. Then how do we say the type of this WS? Is the type of this WS, which is given to the message function. What is the type? Uh, that is pretty cool. Extract the type. Open the list. Okay. Extract the type. Cleaner approach type of plus helper. Why do we need? Don't we already know the type in Olivia? The best parameter in this object is the type of Elysia WC. You can explicitly inspect it. However, here is how you type it. Import from Elysia. Message hover over WS in your IDE. WS socket and a lot of stuff. Getting the type, the simplest way to extract it using parameters. Nothing is happening here. If you need to store WS reference example map for I want to write an interface which is going to have this WS as one of the object. Do how do I get the type? How do I get the type? TLDR type. Oh shit. Oh shit. That is easy. TLDR. Try importing it directly. Try. WS type. WS type. Type of nope. That is not good. Let TypeScript infer it. Nope. WS type is also not good. WS is a type direct option import if available in your version. Elysia WS. Can we do this? Import. We can actually do this. Okay, so this is going to be it. This is going to be the socket over which we are going to talk. And we have to rewrite our APIs and memory. Okay. Yep, we have to rewrite our APIs, rapid, not a list of strings, but rather substitute string with game list. And what is game list? But gonna find do you mean game? And we cannot just add this. Yep, that is correct. What we can do is this thing will not take in this, but instead user ID and the WebSocket. WebSocket, Elysia WS and push user ID and WS and do the same there. Do the same thing here. Copy and paste and paste. Add a rapid game and in this block substitute rapid with bullet and in this block substitute rapid with this. Okay, okay, and we are good. Game list is a type and must be imported as type only. Okay, okay, we have a way to add things to the list. That is cool. And these are database parts, and we have to write the API part, which is the front end will hit. Okay. Database. And do we need other things? Yes, I think. Yep. Of course, we need the get thing. Get method. Get rapid game. This does not take in anything. This will simply return the rapid game. Yep, this will simply return the rapid game. So, yep, return, and the return type of this thing is game list. Return this dot rapid game dot back is mm, thing from the last dot map will pop game list undefined. Okay, if dot length is this is not a function is greater than equal to 1, then return this. Why would this be undefined? TypeScript game list undefined is not assignable to time. This undefined is not assignable. But why would this be undefined if we are first here checking the length? If length is not a function. And if length equals 0, then we are going to throw an error. So for which we need to define a new error. Helper errors game not found error. Uh, game was asked for, but it doesn't exist. Okay. Why is index.ts in this? Database.ts and memory.ts, add both of these and throw game not found. And if that is not, then return this dot rapid game list dot how to get the last thing. Push some sort with slice, reduce splice for each shift includes no, I think slice or something. This is going to return an array. What does pop do? Pop returns the game list or returns undefined. Hmm. This is in the definition for pop. Okay. Const last equals rapid game list dot pop. And if last is not equal to undefined, then return last or throw game not found. Throwing the same error twice is not a good thing, is it? Greater than 0 and do this Otherwise, at the end, just throw the error. Okay, and we have to do this for other games too. And how to paste in neuron and exit at the last line and at the last new line. Enter normal mode, print, press G, this moves your cursor to the beginning, P, paste, capital P to paste before exit neuron. Nope, that is not what I'm asking for. Paste an entire cut line and the paste a block of text in angle and end up at the end of that text. How do you do this? GP. Let's see. Okay, cool. That does work. GP. And in this, substitute rapid with bullet. And in this, substitute rapid with, yeah, cool. We need to slice this up. Then we have these definitions. That is cool. Then we have these get game definitions. And also we have our add game definitions. Okay. Now we have to make the APIs which are going to do the work. Start game.ts or okay, start game.ts. Yeah, just app makes sense. App is fine. App equals LG app dot not get but ws listen on new slash new given the object and then export at the end app on new connection. What happens on a new connection? Yep. Open ws. Now if or game data dot is shared. Yes, which game makes sense? New slash rapid. If new rapid, then is rapid game. If there is already a rapid game, then we will remove that game from there and yes, const new. Let's also make this current user const current player is going to be an object of type game list and this will ws is ws legit and user id is how do we get the user id? Shit, this also has to be authenticated because we need the user id. That makes sense. So that random people cannot just play a game so that we know who is playing the game. How do we add authentication on a WebSocket? We will have to see from Elysia. But for now, let's just say this is the thing. We'll have some way of finding out the user ID. And if new, yep, uh, other player is data dot get rapid game, and we will have a function. Since now we have two players who want to play games with each other, we will have a function which is like play rapid game, and we will give current player and other player like this. Nothing would happen. Yep, and nothing would happen, and this would only have this open object here. Yes, but else, then we will done. But else, if that is not the case, after getting the player, if that is not the case, then we will do, or what we will do is data dot add a rapid game. Add the rapid game, which one? Current player. Add current player to rapid game. They want two arguments. Let's not add the this directly. A spread argument must either be a tuple or be passed. Okay, how to spread an object in a function argument in a argument as separate arguments. How to spread an object as separate arguments. Yes, that is what was used. Person dot dot manually or pass in person. And the structure at the function level. We cannot spread, which means therefore we must in all of these do substitute, not rapid but substitute. Okay, now we can use a pretty cool new thing which I will have to see, where we want to put both of these things under in square brackets, in curly brackets. So I guess we look for the opening bracket and then something inside and then closing bracket. Anything inside and not just anything, because this is not going to do a bad search. Hmm. Opening bracket. This is finding all the opening brackets. Something. Okay, shit. I think we also have to use a thing. I think M for magic, small m, V or small v, capital V. We have to use that at the end, I think. Or here, I think here we wait shit, I have VP. Let's see. Yeah, GPT. Nope. Oh, yep, that is cool. Or I could manually do this. user ID and implicitly type anywhere that you game list. This is of type game list. Or push game list. Game list. Game list. GL. Here. Change this to game list. Okay. Game list in the APIs. Hold start a game. Return or otherwise add the player to the game list. Okay, and let's add some stuff there also. Add this, okay. And this one, console.log, a new connection started with backtick. Copy. Shit. It started with real.user ID with this person and paste this line at all these places. Get rapid game, get rapid game. Okay, that seems good enough, good enough. A new user can come and say that they want to play a game. That is good enough. This is for rapid, and we need to add more APIs. GP, GP. In this, substitute rapid with blitz. And in this, substitute rapid with bullet global. Okay, and we are not really doing anything with the user. Okay, okay. Console.log started a new game with started a new game between two players. Shared uh, something started a new game between game. What is the problem? This it started between not GL but other player dot user ID and Current player dot user ID. If there are already players in that at that point. Okay, this is start game. API.ts guard. There is like this whole guard thing. And yes, okay, how do we add this guard? This is already added, I think. Dot use. Okay, what is app? Yes, app is nothing for now. Start game. Start game. Import app as start game from dot slash start game dash game. Remove this add Elysia object. Okay, and remove app. That looks good enough. That looks good enough. Actually, good enough. Let's establish a new connection. Running. This is running. This is running. This is running. Okay. We need to make a connection. And what is the port number? So backend index.js port number is 2222. New slash rapid. And what is going to be sent? Nothing really. And connect. Could not connect. Slash rapid. Why? This is listening. Okay. Headers localhost get unexpected server response. Server responded with 200, which seems bad. I think it is because this API is protected. If we remove this from the guard and add this here, what do we get? Run the backend and connect. And now there is a connection, and new connection is started with user ID nothing. Okay, cool. And if we want to make another connection at the same time, how do we do that with Postman? Is there a tab thing? Workspaces, I think. Yes, maybe not. Oh yes, I can just, yeah, there is a tab. Connect, localhost, new, rapid, and connect. Yes. Game is started between dash and dash. Cool. Both the connections have been turned off. That is cool. And I will have to go to the washroom and I will be right back in 1 minute. Probably 1 minute. And yep, I'm back. That is cool. Okay, so we now need to add authentication to this start game. Use start game. Yep, we need to add authentication to this. Yep. How do we add authentication to our web socket? I think, yep, there is a way to set headers. Let's create a new connection. Post user create. Okay. Body user one. Password is this thing. And connection refused because the server is not running. But run back. Server is now running. Start the connection. Post create a user, but we should be getting back. Shit. The JSON for this. Okay, something is wrong. Something is wrong. This was working earlier, but now it is not working. Post user create a user with this username and password. We should be getting back the JWT token, but we are not getting back the JWT token. Access create user. Okay, shit, these things have broken now somehow. Error true. Okay, shit. Yes, we are getting like error is true. So okay, shit. Get user, create user. Everything is still there. What is the problem? Okay, import data from data database slash data. What is the mod name of the module? Export data. So we put default export default this thing and here data dot what was it before? Get user payload password create user. Create this user and here also everything is okay, but I guess we have to make some changes on other places where data is was being imported. Start game, yeah, start game. Remove this. Okay, let's see. Let's see. I guess now we should be okay. Create a user, and we are able to create a user. Cool. This is one user. Let's should how do we switch between sessions? S. Yep. Let's go. Test. This is one user one, and the password is that thing. Let's create user two, and the JWT is this. Okay, right. And now we want start game to how do we get user ID headers? How do we get headers? WS is there, but data dot headers dot. I think we can decorate this a little bit here, and we can say Elijah dot type. Yes, import Elijah. And how were they doing like this when they were telling what the kind of things are going to be in plugins? Shit. I'm kind of sick, my bad. Mm. How are they? It was not in, maybe it was handlers, where we were able to tell the handler what the type of things are going to be, which are expected, what the kind of body is going to be there, and other things. Plugins, I guess. Yes, plugins will be there. Decorate, nope, not decorate. Derive, nope. Scope, nope. On before handle, yep, this thing. Body, and do we do the same thing with plugins? Can we do the same thing with plugins? Property assignment, share, not, it seems. We cannot. We do get the headers though. That is cool. Integration, where is internal GIT? Okay. Plugins. WebSocket is not a plugin. Yes, then inside patterns, we have WebSocket. Okay. Here, yes. Okay. Give an object, and that object directly will contain body. Okay. Yes, body comes here. Not body, but body dot object, and this is not body, but headers will contain other things, but query, what? Que query, where does query go? In our WebSocket. Params, query parameters. Nope, we want the stuff to be in headers. So this is going to have not this, but A is capital or not capital. Authorization, nope, A is not capital. Bearer, one ID that we have is this. What is the problem? Value contains invalid new line character. Okay, let me remove that. There is still a new line character at the end. Copy this. Bearer. Cool. Okay. Authorization A is small. Authorization is going to have T dot string. Okay. And then here we can say ws dot data dot headers dot authorization. User ID, we want the user ID from this thing. How do we get the user ID from this thing? We need the user ID, right? It will come in the body. It will come in the body. The middle layer will capture this, the authentication layer, and in the body. Body will have user ID directly. Uh, Body does not exist here somehow. Request dot body dot user ID. No, user ID does not exist. Request dot body exists there directly, but this is not the same body as that one. Somehow, wait. Data pong send body is never. Okay. Let's keep it user for now. API, what is happening here? This thing takes in headers and status, returns, otherwise does not return. Right. And derive, this takes in header, and if token, then return verify token has the response which has user ID and username. And this is returning user ID and username, which will go where? Where will this go? We had here root function. ID and name, they just exist. ID comes in the param, and this comes here. This is an authenticated route. Okay, there are some problems. Yep. It should be in Malaysia where we can use, wait, maybe this is directly in the documentation. Decorate, extend, decorate, best practices, decorate, where is decorate? Decorate this thing, console.log, new logger, call the new logger function, which logs something, logger.log, hi. Okay, this new logger is returned. And okay, decorate with this name, this thing, and then access this object. Okay, which makes things easier. Derive what? Headers binding elements header that explicitly has type any shit. So no, okay, shit. This is not what you want. We were using derived. Return bearer auth starts with bearer slice 7 null and then get bearer. Okay, we can get them directly. Those things can be gotten directly. derive, derive. But since we are using derive here, we do not get type inference. They are saying here derive does not handle type integrity, and you might want to use resolve instead. What is resolve? But type integrity. Resolve headers, this, return this, and bearer. Bearer will have type. So why do we even use derive? Resolve. And what does res have? Res is of type JWT payload. JWT payload. JWT payload. User ID. Or maybe we should bunch them together as user. That makes more sense. That makes more sense. And they are saying this gives type integrity. So if here you were to say uh, dot use start game and remove start game from here and add this data memory, remove all that. Not here. ws dot data dot user should be there. User should be there. ws dot data context. No, context is not there. Context is not there. Mm, I have a resolve function that intercept the request and returns an object uh, object wait returns an object resolve returns an object which what does it returns an object. Yes, it returns an object which has uh, another object called user. How do I put this user object inside a web socket? How do I get this user object inside WebSocket? Accessing resolved data in Elisio WebSockets. Resolve this message. User is not available here. Yes, this user. The solution used before handle or upgrade in WS configuration. Okay, we have to add our a separate authentication for this. Okay, that is something. That is something. We have to add separate authentication for this. Verify token header start authorization before handle and also the upgrade thing. Shit. Okay. Resolve thing goes there directly, I guess. Then so dot use start game comes here and async before handle and everything inside. this comes here, and but there are multiple of these things. Shit. There are multiple of these things. There are multiple of these things. Shit. Okay. Shit. Because there is just not one path. There are multiple paths, and I do not want to add before handle to each one of them. Use derive plus ws. What actually works? Verify token function user derive with new Elijah dot derive. This is better. Add derive here. And how do we get access to this? Data dot okay. Data dot user. Okay. This comes inside the data. Okay, that makes sense. That is cool. That is cool. That is cool. And we can even add multiple paths to this thing. That is cool. So before dot this, they are saying use a derive thing, which returns, but this does not give yeah, instead of this, a resolve would be better. There is no type inference here. Let's first add resolve. Resolve. JWT payload not defined. That is cool. Import JWT payload as a type, and also import verify since we are using them later on, and here async before handle. Dot resolve dot before handle okay, sense makes sense. Makes sense. That is much better. Wait, this function should be async binding element status implicitly type any async function. This is, and we are binding elements starts and ends. Start end. Okay. Status is of type any, and here headers is of type any somehow. WS has type any somehow. app dot before handle is a legit thing. Yep, it is a legit thing. It may be, I don't know. On before handle takes in a function, which for now, let's say is empty. And let's say this takes in headers and status, which is fine. And now we can just copy paste this inner code. Cool. And make the function async. Okay. And we should be able to get ws.data.user yes dot user user ID. Okay, const user ID is const user ID is ws.data.user, or let's call this thing just a user. Now here user question mark if user is not equal to undefined user.user ID, otherwise empty undefined ID. And also there will be username in game list. User ID and user name also going to be a string. Username, this kind of the same signature. Username and give user name undefined username undefined user ID, right? And copy the same thing, paste, copy paste. Okay, cool. Here seem things seem okay. Things seem okay. And where else? On the database side, database memory side. Shit, I was expecting stuff to be broken here, but nothing is broken because this function is not doing anything with game list. It is just, yep, using what is given to it. And game list is given to it. So cool. Okay, stop, run again. Okay, and if we connect error, nothing here, but error here. What is the error? Authorization is this, maybe we misspell authorization. How is authorization happening here? On before authorization, yes. Console.log token. Bro didn't header. What is the response? Unexpected server response 200. What does that mean? application JSON, run the server again, connect, and okay, and here we do get the token. So okay, we are at least running this function. That is cool. And are we getting into resolve? Console.log, so can run this thing and connect. We are not getting into resolve. We are not getting into resolve. We go into derive, but we won't get. Okay, maybe now this might work with derive instead of resolve. Connect, and no, token is undefined because A here is capital. It should be small. Okay, we are getting the token here, but why are we not going to the end point? Status code 500, internal server error. Why are we getting internal server error? New slash rapid console.log console.log got some requests on the rapid server. Nothing here. We don't have a request. Okay, and token is there. Run. Okay, we are getting error here. Await, verify. Verify is giving us error. Why is verify giving us error? Verify is giving us error. Verify is giving us error. Verify is giving us error. Catch key return dummy user, which is going to have ID, user ID, which is let's say 1234, and user name, name, or user, or this. Oh, cool. Again, error, shit, and nothing here. Server responded with 200. What is that? Responding at 200. Ah, shit, okay. Random thing to log. Random thing to log. Okay, so this function is now returning something. Okay, so we should be getting here probably console.log got a connection. Run this again, and nope, we do not have a connection. Slash new slash rapid slash new slash rapid. We do not have a connection. Why? Wait, we have no query parameter is we have off. Request response headers was this. Clear message, restore, clear message, connect, and nothing. Authorization bearer AUTHORIZATION and inderive AUTHORIZATION authorization. That is the correct spelling. And this is inside headers, just like this. Authorization, legit, the same thing, nothing else. Okay, so first of all, verify is giving us error, and second of all, we are not going into this, even though the endpoint is correct. Open. This should be working correctly, but no, it is not. When we establish a new connection to play a new game, pre-message deflate, date, time, current content length. What is the content? This is the, is this, no, this is just the error. Hmm. Request headers, response headers was this with 200 as the message, but the response header should be something like this and not like this, which makes sense. And why are we getting a 200 connection? Handshake detail, we try to connect to this place. Request method was get status code was 200. Server responded with 200. Maybe the server is not supposed to return response with 200. Shit. The server is responding with 200 derive async. Shit. How about this? Yeah. How about this? Delete, delete, username, user, user ID, ID, and we do this same thing everywhere. Error. Okay. We are still getting error somehow. And what is this thing at the bottom? On before handle, is this handle returning? Console.log success connect. Okay, we are returning from this function. Okay, that is not a bad thing. That is a bad thing. But the status code that we are getting is 200. This is the one that was sent. Unexpected server response. Server is, does that mean server response is 200? Wait, APIs. Start game is here without the guard. Without the guard. And if we comment this, and now make a connection. Now we do have a connection. New connection is started with ID. Now we do have a connection. Wait, we didn't see this thing. Got a connection. We didn't see this thing. Got a connection. Or did we? Yep, we did see got a connection. Then what is happening because of this? No connection. Whenever we add this authorization, so which part of this is erroring? First, second, third, and uh, fourth. Yep, let's see. Wait, we should put this with all of these, the places where we are actually returning the error. Copy this. First and then fourth. So we are getting into the function, but we are not able to verify the token. Why are we not able to verify the token? Why are we not able to verify the token? Console.log token. C token is this. Okay, let's create a token. Let's create a new token. History. Yep. We will create a token, new token for our third user. Body user 3. User 3. Get a new token. This thing is a new token. And now we will make a request here. Headers. Just change the token. Paste this. Bearer space. Okay. Okay. Yeah, still because of the token. Okay. Great. Token is still not verified. Why is the token not verifying? Await this. This is returning error. GWT verified token public key error in verifying. Simple.log. We do not see error in verifying, therefore there was an error in verifying. Verifying, Control C, stop, back, start, restart connection. Verifying, but then we got error while we were verifying. Which part of this is giving error? Okay, we do have the token verifying. What is the token that is coming here? Verifying, and this is the token. Should be working. BA is at the end. BA, and at the start we have Y. Wait, I think there is supposed to be EY. 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 Okay, and still there is an error even with EY. But then we have BA. There is error. Oh, shit. So why is the token not verifying? Public key token. Oh shit. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Because whenever this runs, a new public key is generated and we are using that new public key here. Okay, maybe that is the problem. Class dot class. If we create a class out of this, it's JWT, and you were to say all these things here. Static verify async function cannot find token unexpected. Implicitly has type any. How are functions defined then in database? Static async comes before. Okay. Verify. Okay. And okay. Static async doing this, doing this. And if we were to say both these things here, static public key, I think this will not work, but let's see, equals, oh, this probably will not work, just in case. Yeah, this does not work. Makes sense? Yep, because we cannot initialize. Const public key, which is going to be a string whenever it comes. A class member cannot have the word static. Okay, static private key string const. Okay, I do not want to have a separate key every time that the server reruns. So we need to have a key which is just there, which means remove all this and key will be in the env file. The key will be in the env file, yes. For which export log console.log public key console.log empty and private key. Okay, log, we just need to call the log function from somewhere. Wow, index.px. Hmm. We shit. We have to stringify this thing. Uh, JSON dot stringify and phone. JSON dot stringify, okay, and empty. JSON dot stringify public key and JSON dot stringify private key. Will the code run? Code does run, but why? JSON dot stringify dot stringify should be working, but it is not, and yep, it is not working. Stringify is not working. What is the time? Yeah, I guess I will continue this later on. Yep. Right now, what we have done is we have WebSockets working. We need to add authentication to WebSockets, and we need to fix our key. Those are two things we have to work on right now. Yep. Uh, Add authentication to WebSockets, and second, fix a key so that it is not changing every time the server is starting up. Okay, cool. And that would be it for today. And thank you for being here.